Hi guys, we're getting ready to start the Cure Radio Show, and I hope you all join us because it's going to be a great one. It's a way to inspire everyone that has gone through abuse or, circumstances that they believe would hold them back. But we have a different story. We believe everyone can move forward and there's hope for everyone. So I have an exciting guest with us today that can help us get there. And Bobby wants to say hello, like usual.
It's so funny. Bobby wants to say hello. Hello, I'm Bobby. and I say hello because Amy told me to tell you hello. So back to Amy.
See, he's got a lot to say.
Absolutely a lot. Thank you for the opportunity to talk.
Oh, guys, it's a beautiful sunny day once again in Miami. Soon we'll show you the outside. I know everywhere it's not sunny and warm, and I'm sorry for that. But warm wishes from me to you.
And from me to you. Right?
Sure.
I joined your wishes, that's why.
He doubles that.
Double it up. There you are. So the music is gonna start any moment, actually. Oh, Facebook just posted it just 3 minutes later. But thank you, Facebook. So you guys should.
I'ma need those eyes focusing on me. Middle of the night, I'm the only star you see. I'ma need those hands running over me, 'cause I ain't that type to let you go easy. So say goodbye to every other girl in the night behind you. Now you're mine. Tell me what you're willing to sacrifice. Sacrifice. When it comes to me, don't want no compromise. This should be the only body on your mind. When it comes to me, I'm down for life. So tell me what you sacrifice.
The Cure with Aimee Cabo. Life can bring many difficult situations. Domestic violence, addictions, poverty, and even sexual abuse by your loved ones. Welcome, Aimee Cabo and The Cure.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Cure Radio Show. I'm your host, Aimee Cabo, with my amazing partner, Boris.
I'm still amazing, thank you, baby.
So far, for today,
I keep on deleting amazing. When you put it
one
back.
day at a time.
Thank you.
Our show is available live on your radio, also live through our app, The Cure, on any smartphone, and our website, godisthecure.com, because he is. We're broadcasting live from Miami through satellite, available in 35 radios in 11 states, and on Sirius XM channel 131, also live on social media, and soon after the show, any podcast player. I wanted to thank our social media followers, especially since we reach about 1 million people monthly. So, thank you guys, and thank God. This show deals with issues of life, suffering, and the tenacity of the human spirit. We provide testimonials to let people know they're not alone. And in this show, the testimony started with me. We have experts, testimonials, and inspirational speakers with valuable information, since education is necessary, awareness is crucial, and comfort is needed. God was my only cure. Everything else failed. And we hope to be a source of healing for each other. Life can be challenging, but know this, there's always hope. Because God is omnipotent, He's our Father, and He loves us. The song we played earlier was Sacrifice by Beba Rexha. And guys, here's my take, what I get from it with the help of the Holy Spirit. We should focus on God, whose commandments are pure, not the things of this world. He's the answer and always the cure. God said, be holy like me, working hard, practicing sacrifice. Righteousness doesn't come easy. His love isn't a compromise. Yet the angels declare the glory of God, filled with kindness, compassion, and love. It shows in those who adhere to His word, who gives us guidance and peace from above. Open our minds to pursue only God. We must detach from what is not real. When our soul is at stake, He removes the lies, gives us sense that trumps what we feel. Today, we will talk about overcoming abuse and learning to love ourselves. And we have a special guest, Alisha Gee. Alisha Gee is a motivational speaker as
That
well
sounds
as...
like a rapper. Maybe she's a rapper.
Okay.
We'll ask later.
As well as a performance coach for women who have been through trauma. She has been featured on Fox 10 News, Next Generation Leadership Experiences, Voyage Phoenix, Total Girl Boss, Thrive Global, and more. Alisha believes that all areas of life are interconnected. Because of this, she focuses on teaching women how to improve in their personal lives, in their health, in their relationships, and their business endeavors. Alisha Gee believes that now is a time for women to show up initially in all areas of their life and to ditch the excuses. Through her program, Alisha is creating a movement of women ready for change, and she invites you to join. Alisha Desiree.
No, desire. Alicia's desire. Sorry, I didn't put the apostrophe.
Alicia's desire is to see women do whatever it takes to stop allowing their past to hold them back, and instead be empowered to move forward with confidence. Alisha has created the Stand Up and Stand Out framework to drop the excuses and take a stand for yourself in all areas of your life. That means showing up for yourself before you get out and support everyone else around you. Through this framework, she's supporting women all around the world. Alisha, welcome to The Cure. So excited to have you on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Alisha, can we just start out with your personal story, how it is that you came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in a little different story than most. I grew up all around the world. So I was born in Germany. I grew up in China for 6 years. And so I had a really amazing childhood. I was always doing something new, meeting people from all around the world, having a lot of connections. So we really had this amazing experience. But really, like, where things started to change for me was when we moved back to the States. And in that transition, a family member started to treat me different. And at first I was like, this is different, but okay, like, maybe this is normal. And he'd always say, this is what you do with family members. It's okay. All these things. And so and I knew at that time, like, I felt terrible. It wasn't okay. And it progressively got worse and worse and worse. And so when I tried to get it to stop, he just said, I'll tell your mom and dad that you are partying and drinking and cutting yourself, because at that time, that's what I did to really cope with that from 11 to 13 years old, because it lasted for about 2 years on and off. And so really, like, it was just, I would go to school, I would show up really, like, I was on the volleyball team, basketball team, had lots of friends, all those things, but I would come home and it would be a different story. And so on and off for 2 years that happened, but then afterwards, what really was the hard part was going to my room and having my mom come in. I remember this like it was yesterday, because she came in and she's like, Alisha, like, I know what's going on. And I was relieved. I was like, finally somebody knows. Like, finally somebody knows what's going on, and I'm not alone anymore. And she asked me to share my story with her, my side of view, because he had ended up sharing all of it to my mom and dad, and they wanted to hear from me. But at that time, I could barely, say the word sexual abuse. Like, I didn't really even know what was going on. I had never even heard anyone talking about that. So I shared what little I could. And afterwards, she looked at me and she said, Alisha, it takes two. And
Wow.
in that moment, I just, like, my heart sank, and I was just like, yeah, maybe that is the case. Maybe I should have told somebody. I should have said no. And so from there on, for about 16 years, I really took it in on myself that it was my fault, that I should have done something. And so I lived in shame and guilt for many, many years. I put up a mask that I was okay, that so I decided to do the opposite, right? I decided to act like I was even better. I would be the life of the party. I would always know where the parties were. I just masked like my unhappiness and my pain inside with unhealthy behaviors.
Right, trying to compensate and trying to make sense of it all. And I've noticed that more often than not, parents will go into denial. And it's actually it's a rare case, as it is in one of my family members, that when she found out her husband was abusing her child, she divorced him immediately. But it wasn't in my case. My mother completely denied it, and I was a liar. So, or like they said in your case, you had fault in it as well, and it takes two, which is really unfortunate and wasn't very supportive at all. But somehow you pulled through that. You were able to overcome acting and behaving like a victim, which is somebody with no boundaries and not really differentiating between wrong and right, and everything was acceptable and everything was okay because what happened to you was wrong was okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 64% of women aren't believed after sharing their stories. And so, it happens with men and women, but oftentimes, like, not being believed afterwards is sometimes some of the most painful parts. And I know you just shared that you also weren't believed. So you just start internalizing things, and you just feel like you can't share with anybody, that it's embarrassing, that it was your fault. And that's really where, like, we get to show up and change as a society too right now, because we don't get to live with the shame and the guilt. And exactly, like you said too, like, in that, I also allowed those 16 years to be a victim of my past. And I didn't show up for myself personally. I didn't show up in the dreams that I had to, start my own business, to go, travel around the world. I just really played really small in those times, and just, acted like I was okay, went to college, graduated, and it wasn't really until after I graduated that I really looked at myself in the mirror and realized I wasn't okay.
Well, yes, when a parent blames the child feels very small. So they try to compensate in other ways, but it eats you up because you're not happy about your behaviors, and it gets progressively worse. We'll return to talk about this some more.
And yes, we'll continue talking about breaking through drama. We'd love to hear from you. Ask a question, share your story. 1-866-34-TRUTH. 1-866-34-TRUTH.
We will be right back with Aimee Cabo and The Cure.
Aimee Cabo and The Cure.
Right outside.
This show deals with suffering, the tenacity of the human spirit, and the courage to keep moving forward with the help of God. I want people to know that there's hope. I was forced into my abortion because I didn't think I had a choice. I want people to know there's choices.
Well, Aimee, my heart is breaking. I just want you to know that I love you and I thank God for you.
Aimee Cabo and The Cure.
Every Saturday at 1 Eastern on the Truth Network.
You know I got your number all night. I'm always on your team, I got your back, alright. Taking those losses if it treats you right. I wanna put you into the spotlight. If the world would only know what you've been holding back. Heart attacks every night, oh you know it's not right. I will follow you way down, wherever you may go. I'll follow you way down to your deepest low. I'll always be around, wherever life takes
Continue with Aimee Cabo and The Cure.
Welcome back. This is Aimee Cabo, and thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yes, she's Aimee Cabo. She's not lying. And also, remember that you can listen to she never lies. Remember that you can listen to the radio show live to our app, The Cure with Aimee Cabo, her, or the podcast. Just look for God is the Cure on any podcast platform.
I lie sometimes, but I correct myself immediately.
Oh. This is so big of you.
Okay. The song that just played was Follow You by Imagine Dragons. I can imagine God like singing that to us. It's an awesome song, but here's my poem, guys. God will always follow us and be there for us, especially at our greatest low. He will get us back on our feet, turn the losses around wherever we go. We are protected by Christ, sending his angels to dry our tears. Life brings us down, but we may not know there's so much more to us than our fears. When always committed to God, we are stronger, and he opens our eyes. Sadness is no longer our problem. With faith, God hears our cries. God waits for the moments that can show us his ways and display his perfection, providing his love without any delays. We're talking about breaking through trauma with special guest Alisha Gee. And trauma could be cumulative, by the way, especially if you don't have a good support system, which is what we were talking about before we came into break. How not often do we have a support system, and sometimes we have to go through some hurdles. For example, I knew I went through a lot of bad behaviors, and it took me a long time to learn to respect myself and love myself and care about myself. So at what point did that happen for you, Alisha?
Yeah, so like I said, it wasn't until after college where I was actually working with a home for girls who've gone through sex trafficking, and I was like, here is my mission, like here's like support, I love these girls, but here's the deal. When I was working with them, I gave them everything, all of me, and I had not showed up for myself first yet, and so I was exhausted. So I would come home, and I would share with my boyfriend Eric, who's my fiance now at the time, and I would just be like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm barely getting paid, like all of these things, because as much as I wanted to love on these girls, he pointed out, and he pointed out, he's like, Alisha, until you help yourself, how can you help these girls? And that's really the truth. Like at first, when I first heard that message, I wanted to go back into my own head and be like, no, I'm okay, I'm fine, you know, the story that I told myself for 16 years. But at that point, I was like, no, actually, I get to actually look at myself and figure out who I am again, what I love to do, because having that mask on for so long, sometimes you forget who you are. And so that was the turning point for me to really take a step back. I started working with those girls. I took a step back to really figure out who I was, to go through some healing, to forgive a lot of people in my past, even my abuser, because I knew that it was for me, not for anybody else. Because at that point, I was like, this is rock bottom. Like, I don't get to continue living my life. Like, my life doesn't matter.
Exactly. And what steps did you take towards healing, towards taking care of yourself, being present for yourself, rather than giving it your all to everyone and, you know, just neglecting yourself in the process?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the first thing I really did was, for one, I took a step back, right? So I gave myself some space to look at myself and to spend time alone. Because at that point, like I would always be busy. I'd always have, I was working there, I was bartending, I was, working at a car dealership. Like I was doing 3 jobs just so that I could never have to sit alone and actually look in and have those conversations with myself. So that was one of the things I did. The second thing I really did was I actually started working out. At that point, like I had gained a lot of weight because I didn't love who I was, and I didn't care about my body enough to show up for myself. And I believe fitness is one of the best ways to start fighting for yourself after abuse or painful past experiences, because it tells your mind that you're worth fighting for, and it like makes you physically and mentally strong. So that was one of the things, like actually showing up for myself physically, giving my body the food that it needed, those kind of things. And also I had support in that time as well from a coach and a mentor. to really support me and just like taking the steps to figure out who I was again. Like I said, I was like, what is my favorite color? Like, it seems like silly questions, but it's just like for so long I had to be a certain person. I had to be Alisha Gee, who knew all the parties, who always was down to drink and all of those things. But I was like, that's just not me. Like, I'm not truly happy in that, because those are some signs that like somebody's not okay. Nobody who's truly happy drinks every day until they're drunk. And so those were signs that I had decided to ignore up until that time when I was like, hey, no, what is going on here? And then, I just surrounded myself with a really strong community as well.
So you took some time to self-reflect and analyze what really did make you complete, what did really make you happy, what were healthy behaviors rather than unhealthy behaviors. And so what you mean by being present for yourself is being there for yourself, self-care, taking care of your emotional health, taking care of your physical health, letting yourself know you are worth it and that you do love yourself. And so that's how you were able to take responsibility for your life, is it not?
Yes, exactly. Really, really realizing that, like, we get to show up powerfully for ourselves. And in that, when I showed up powerfully for myself, I also stopped being the victim. And hear me when I say this, like there's time to mourn and heal and to go through the pain. But when you decide to show up as a victim, which means it's like when you decide to make excuses that because you've gone through something over here, you've gone through painful past experiences, mean that you cannot create a life over here, a life of your dreams, have amazing relationships, then that does not work. It simply just doesn't work when you live in that victim mentality. And it's a choice every single day. And to be honest, there are days where I still get hard on myself or I get stuck in the victim mentality. But now I'm able to see it. I'm able to notice that. I'm like, okay, Alisha, no, take a step back here. You're not the victim here. You get to create what you want to create. And also just realizing that, when you give your power away to your abuser or somebody who's hurt
or to your past,
they're always going to have the power.
Right.
And if they have the power, then that means you don't have the power to create what you want to create in the future.
And you make a very good point. And you make a very good point, because society will tell you, because you've been through so much or because you've survived so much, you're not going to make a good parent, or you're not going to get married, or you're not going to succeed, or you're going to suffer through depression and you'll have to be on medication for life. Well, none of those things were true for me, although people did pass those judgments. But that's just a stigma that you grow with, where people don't realize that when you've gone through trauma, you get traumatized some more with the way that people like to paint your abilities or to describe your abilities. And there's so much more to us. But it was easy for me when God says you get to be new when you follow me. So that's what happened. I became a new person.
Wow.
The past didn't matter.
And that is true. So we will continue talking about how to break through trauma. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us your story. Call us at 1-866-34-TRUTH. That's if you want to. 1-866-34-TRUTH.
We'll be right back with Aimee Cabo and The Cure.
It's like you got superpowers. Turn my minutes into hours. You got more than 20/20, babe. Made a glass the way you see through me. You know me better than I do. Can't seem to keep nothing from you. How you touch my soul from the outside. Permeate my ego and my pride. I wanna love me the way that you love me. I love to see me from your point of view. I wanna trust me, the way that you trust me. Ooh, 'cause nobody ever loved me like you do. I love to see me from your point of view.
The Cure with Aimee Cabo. Life can bring many difficult situations: domestic violence, addictions, poverty, and even sexual abuse by your loved ones. Welcome, Aimee Cabo and The Cure.
Welcome back. Remember, we're live every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern on your radio, on our app The Cure, and our website, godisthecure.com.
And as I have the task of reminding you about the podcast, there is a podcast, also a video podcast. Just look for God is the Cure with Aimee Cabo or type in God is the Cure and the podcast will show up. And you can subscribe to it if you want to.
That song that just played was POV, which means point of view, by Ariana Grande. And this is what I get. If we knew how much God loves us, more than anyone in a lifetime can, He provides potential we didn't know, gaining eyesight like a Superman. Instills in us the desire to do good, preferring modesty over pride. And the more we fall in love with God, in hard times, peace we feel inside. Our faith would grow tremendously if we got to see God's point of view. We would love it all, no matter what, trusting Him with what we go through. So give your best to God who's true, the one who knows us better than we do, the one we trust will never let us down, who rescues us and makes everything new. We are discussing breaking through trauma with special guest Alisha Gee. Alisha, I kind of can relate, and I know where you're coming from, and but this we would like to know. I mean, at least for our listeners, what kind of support? Tell me about your support system. What kind of support did you have through your healing journey?
Yeah, so what's important about looking at support, and if you're listening and you don't maybe have that support, I think this message will be really important, because during that time, like, the people I attracted around me were people who loved to party, who loved me for the person that I was, who wasn't even me at the time, And so when I really changed my mindset, when I really started showing up for myself, I also attracted in these amazing people into my life. I would go to events by myself, like, some fitness events, but just really some events to personal growth events, women's events, women into faith events, just different things, because I was like, I want to have a new community of women who are ready to show up for themselves powerfully. And so in that, I had that kind of support with actually really amazing friends, still at events I have today. And so really noticing if you're not having positive influence in your life, you get to create that. And also the support I had was from coaching. I knew that there were some things in my life that it wasn't working for me. And so I decided to hire a coach, invest in myself financially, and that was really supportive, because she saw me for where I was at, and she's like, look, Alisha, like, you don't get to sit in your stories, like, in your victimhood. So I didn't do this alone, and I think that so oftentimes, like, we look at other people, we're like, hey, how are they here? How are they okay? Like, even, people who are looking at your show, they're like, how is Aimee able to do this, The truth is, like, we can all create these things in our life if that's what you want to do. We don't have to do it alone. And so that was the support I had, was from friends, from getting to really connect with my family again after that time, because I wasn't really close to my family ever since, going through childhood abuse and then the reaction they had afterwards. And so relearning how to get to know each other was really important for me as well.
How to deal with them on a healthy level, at least. But you did more than that. You did more than self-reflect and correct your behaviors and realize that there's a real you that's a lot more beautiful than the persona that you were displaying. That was just a fun person, and it's just it's a fake fun. It's a temporary fun, but it has its consequences. Trust me, nothing fast and easy is good. But you did start your own company supporting powerful women leaders. How did you go about that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when I took that time to really show up for myself and really had a lot of healing and freedom, and just realized that, like, we don't just get to listen, and you mentioned this before, listen to what society says about when you've gone through abuse, that you're never going to find love, that you're never going to do these things. And that was one of the most harmful parts for me as well, because I started to listen to those stories. And when I did, I didn't show up for myself. I didn't show up in my careers. I just, was like, anyone who will hire me, I'll work for them, right? And so when I started my coaching company, I just realized that I wanted to support women who were showing up for everybody else around them, but not themselves, because that's the trap that I got into too. And especially when you've gone through something painful, you're like, oh, like I just want someone to feel the love that maybe you didn't get before. But the problem with that is we're not called to be martyrs. Like, we're not called to just sacrifice our own lives in the process of supporting others. We're called to actually show up for ourselves powerfully first, because we can make such a bigger impact when we're able to first love on ourselves first, realize how beautiful and powerful and amazing we are, get rid of some of the limiting beliefs about ourselves, the perfectionism, I have to do something before I can be loved, before I can have success, all those things that we want. And so when I started my company, I started off with just fitness, and it evolved into really personal coaching and performance coaching to really powerful leaders in this community, because they get support too. We're not supposed to just go throughout life on our own. I still have a business coach. I still have support as well, even though I have my own company now and I get to speak around the world. I still have people checking in on me and making sure that I'm doing the things that I also tell other people to do. Because it's so often to be like, yeah, you take your mornings off, focus on yourself, make sure you're showing up for yourself. But it's really important to look inwards too and be like, hey, am I doing these things that I'm telling other people to do?
So you kind of have like some mentors and support system, and you surrounded yourself around better people, people that fit more the lifestyle that you wanted, not the lifestyle that you thought you had to do. And but one of the things that you do to help others is to share your story. And tell me how you go about this without instilling in some people the defeatist attitude that, if something bad happened to me, then I'm bad. I can't be good.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first decided to share my story, I was terrified. I was like, people are going to view me as the person who's gone through abuse or as broken or all these things. And so if you're like listening here and you're like, well, I want to share my story, but I don't know how. Well, for one, you're never going to be ready, right? So we always wait until we're like, wait. Okay, I'll be ready when? I'll be ready when I have enough followers on Instagram, followers on Facebook, when I do this class, this course, whatever it is. But you're never going to be ready to show up and just like to support other people, because we get in our own heads, we get selfish, right? In that, if you're not willing to share your story, that like it doesn't have to be online, it doesn't have to be on a radio show. Like, what if it was to your friends, your family, and opens up that vulnerability? So when I decided, I asked myself, I was like, if I can share my story and help one person, would I do it? And the answer was yes. And so I shared my story publicly for the first time about 3-4 years ago now, online on a show actually. And since then, I've just been able to go around the world sharing it more and more and more. But to encourage you guys, 3-4 years ago, I was also mumbling everywhere I went. No one could understand me. Like my fiance now was like, speak clearly, right? And so it's not natural like to share publicly / become a public speaker. We all get to work at these things. So I want to make sure you guys don't give yourself like a hard time, because especially like as women, sometimes we compare ourselves to each other. And we're like, well, she's natural public speaker. She's natural at sharing her story. No, it takes you getting out of your comfort zone. It takes you being a really bad speaker for a little while to become a good speaker, right? And to share your story as well. So when you are thinking about that, and when I thought about that myself, I had every time I go on stage, I have to ask myself, hey, if I could impact one person in this audience, would I do it? And the answer is always yes for me.
Well, here's what it is natural. We naturally care. And as long as you care, anything's possible. If you want it bad enough, it will happen. And the beautiful thing about sharing a story is that the more of us that share a story, that we've overcome and that we've been able to not only survive but to thrive, it shows to others that they can also, and it brings about great hope. So
Absolutely.
I'm very grateful for people like you that, that are able to speak out. Obviously, it's not for everybody. Some people write books.
Oh, don't say anything. But anyway, we'd love to hear from you. Call us with your question or comment about overcoming abuse, or about question about a friend maybe that you have. 1-866-34-TRUTH. 1-866-34-TRUTH.
We will be right back with Aimee Cabo and The Cure.
Aimee Cabo and the Cure.
This show deals with suffering, the tenacity of the human spirit, and the courage to keep moving forward with the help of God. I want people to know that there's hope. I was forced into my abortion because I didn't think I had a choice. I want people to know there's choices.
Well, Aimee, my heart is breaking. I just want you to know that I love you and I thank God for you.
Aimee Cabo and the Cure.
Every Saturday at 1 Eastern on the Truth Network.
You're slow to anger. Your name is great, and your heart is kind. For all your goodness, I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Rest alone, my soul. Oh, my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul. I worship Your holy name. Bless You, Lord.
And now we will continue with Aimee Cabo and The Cure.
Hi again, and thanks for tuning in. We're live every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern on your radio, on our app, The Cure, and on social media. Just look for God is a Cure.
And by looking God is the Cure wherever podcasts are, you can also check our podcast and subscribe to it.
That song that just played, 10,000 Reasons, Bless the Lord, by Matt Redman. It's great to play when you're going through a difficult time. Like not too long ago, I was at the dentist, and Boris sent me this song, and man was I afraid, but listening to that song helped. You gotta bless him no matter what. Just praise God. It's good. So here's my poem, guys.
Yeah, when the dentist doesn't help, God does.
Well, I cringed. I was saying bless the Lord. Okay, but here we go. With all your goodness, our sweet Lord, never loved as much as we do you. Singing praises all day long, what we live through God is always true. And prayers often take some time. No parent gives it right away. We worship God despite the rain, so we can persevere and always pray. When the enemy tries to bring us down, spiritual growth is taking place. As we get closer, God will make us wise, lift us up, and shower us with grace. Life can give us reasons to give up and quit. God gives 10,000 reasons more. To find hope in Him who's in control, will calm the storm and take us back to shore.
Wow, this is nice. I read that one earlier and I didn't realize it's so nice. Thank you.
We are continuing our conversation with our special guest, Alisha Gee, who's helping us love ourselves and others, by the way, after trauma.
But I never asked, are you a rapper? Do you rap?
I don't think she's a rapper.
No?
Oh, we lost her voice.
Oops. Where
Wait,
is the voice?
1 second, we can't hear you.
There you are.
Okay, now you're back.
Okay. I was saying I'm not yet, but
Not
maybe
yet,
try,
huh?
but I should try it out.
Well, anything's possible. There's a lot of possibilities we're not
Good,
aware of.
good,
Remember, You got to try everything.
There are.
You can't say you can't until you've tried. So, but you know, it's that kind of confidence. It's that perfect confidence because, you know, life can be challenging and scary things will always happen, and things can always try to bring us down. But I like to say I have perfect confidence in you, God, and I have perfect confidence that you're with us and that you'll get us through this, and that it's your will and something good will come out of this, even though it looks pretty bad. My question to you, Alisha, was how did you become more confident?
Yeah, so confidence is something that's learned, right? So it's like sometimes, you know, we look at people, it's like they're just naturally confident. Again, like people probably would have said that about me, but my confidence beforehand, before I really started loving myself, was a mask for the insecurity inside, the pain inside. And so, but when I realized, I was like, I don't want to live with that mask on. I also realized that I get to build back up my confidence and authentically and being vulnerable in that. And so I just did things that made me uncomfortable. The best thing that I've ever done was always doing things that made me uncomfortable, whether it was going to events by myself so that I had to meet new people, whether it was, you know, I always try to stretch myself. So a lot of times, you know, the other day, like I went rollerblading in the park in my bikini, which is, by the way, not like me at all. Like, not like me at all, but my coach stretched me to get uncomfortable. And I'm not saying you have to do that. But for me,
It's a good thing.
Something that I I got to do to show up for myself and love myself, love my body, love myself. And so really where that I became more confident was just trying new things, exactly like you said. For the rapping, maybe it's fine, I'll try it out. Why not? But, you know, just really honestly, it just takes you getting out of your comfort zone and being willing to show up in areas where, you never would have said yes in the past to, but you get to say yes to now. So for one thing was someone nominated me to be in Miss Arizona, and that was like a month ago. And my first reaction was absolutely not. Like I've never been in a pageant before. I don't know anything about that. But because I could feel that I was having resistance towards it, I said yes. And so whatever comes out of that in June in Florida, like that's going to build my confidence even more. So my encouragement is just like find things that normally you wouldn't say yes to or that make you uncomfortable, and say yes anyways. Do it anyways.
Maybe
for yourself.
Maybe that's how you build your confidence, stepping out of your comfort zone. I don't think we're supposed to be comfortable all the time. I mean, hard work is not comfortable, but it takes hard work to become a doctor. Getting fit in physical shape, it takes working out, and that hurts. The weightlifting and the exercising. But you have to get uncomfortable to achieve that, to get physically fit. So it's that little bit of sacrifice that goes a long way, believe it or not. So what's the biggest difference in your life once to show up powerfully for yourself? How has it improved your life once you started showing up powerfully for yourself?
It's letting go. It's letting go of the doing. Like so oftentimes we want to do the work, we want to do the job, we want to whatever it is so that we have money, so that we have security, so that we have a relationship, and then we'll be happy. Then we'll be something. But really, the way that I get to show up powerfully is being powerful, by being generous, by being loving, by being caring, by being free first. No matter what happens in my day, I get to choose to be those things, because it's the opposite. Our society tells us to do these things. But the truth is we all know, millionaires, we all know people who have, on the outside, have these amazing marriages, have these amazing things in their life, but they're truly not happy, because they're just doing the things. So when I changed that around and I started being this, it's a choice every moment of the day. Right now, I get to choose to be powerful. I get to choose to be generous. I get to choose to be committed, right? And when you do that, life just takes off for you. Life just throws these amazing connections, like this one right here, and just different things in your world. Financially, I would have never guessed that I would be able to create a career out of something that I absolutely love, like create my own company, things like that. It's because I'm being those things instead of just doing all the time. So that's my biggest encouragement, is just to.
So basically, is not what you accomplish, so as to say, but how you step up to the plate. I simplify it. If I'm kind and I pray, that's a successful day for me. That's all I require. I set my bar really low.
Yeah, no, that's not low. That's amazing. I love that.
So we're coming to the end of the show, and it's been great, Alisha. Thank you. But do you have any last-minute advice for our audience that you would like to say in the 1 minute we have left? Last words?
Yeah, really, I just find a community. Find a community, whether that's at your church, whether that's a Bible study, whether that's a coaching program, whether that's, getting support from a counselor. Like, just start actually checking in on yourself. Like, what do you need? What do you want to create out of your life? What's not working for you? And go do it. Don't just hear this interview and be like, yeah, that's great support. I'll do that Monday. I'll do that next week.
Yeah.
Listen to this interview and what do you want to take away? What do you want to implement? What do you want to actually take action on? What has Aimee said? What have I said that struck something in your heart that you're like, yeah, I get to show up differently?
Be proactive.
Do it right after the show.
Yes, be proactive.
Yes, absolutely.
Alisha, thank you so much for being with us today. We would love to have you again. You've got awesome things to say. For more information on Alisha Gee and her work, it can be found on, it says .com.
No, we need to ask Alisha. Where can people find you?
Oh, perfect. So on Instagram, it's Alisha at We Lift to Rise. It's just We Lift to Rise. And then you can also follow me on Facebook at Alisha. So it's ALISHA and then GEE. My website's under construction right now because we are revamping, showing up powerfully. We all get to revamp sometimes, right? And so if you want to connect, if something that I said, was supportive for you, I would love to just have a conversation and see how I can continue to support you.
And her Facebook link is going to be on our website, godisthecure.com.
Oh, you picked up the words from my mind.
There you go.
So maybe we have time for a prayer, guys. Dear God, we confess our need for you today. We need your healing and your grace. We need hope restored. We need to be reminded that you work on behalf of those you love, constantly, powerfully, and completely. Forgive us for trying to fix our situations all on our own. Forgive us for running all different directions and spinning our wheels to find help, when true help and healing must be found first in you. Forgive us for forgetting how much we need you, above everyone and everything else. We come to you and bring you the places we are hurting. You see where no one else is able to fully see or understand. You know the pain we've carried, the burdens, the cares. You know where we need to be set free. We ask for your healing and grace to cover every broken place, every wound, every heartache. Thank you that you're able to do far more than we could ever imagine. Thank you for your mighty power that acts on behalf of your children. We reach out to you and know that you are restoring and redeeming every place of difficulty, every battle for your greater glory. Thank you that you will never waste our pain and suffering. We love you and we need you today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Also, thank you to the Truth Network and the wonderful people that work with us, having us on the air, and all the other radios that carry our program, including Sirius XM Channel 131. A special shout out to our audio producer, Beth Ann, from the Truth Network. This is Aimee Cabo. You have been listening to The Cure.
And please check our podcast, The Cure with Aimee Cabo, our app, The Cure, or our website, godisthecure.com.
And thank you to all our listeners. And until next week, be kind, give it your best, stay safe.
Thank you for listening to The Cure with
And
Aimee
peace.
Cabo. For more information or to get Aimee's book, Love is the Answer, God is the Cure, or to listen to the podcasts of previous shows, visit godisthecure.com.